Holy shit. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, bud.
Hi, and welcome to the premiere of my new talk show, which doesn't have a name yet. So if you think of one, you can put a comment and maybe that's what we'll call it.
Can I pitch one already?
You may. I haven't even introduced you. Who
Oh,
are you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We're very serious here. For anyone who doesn't know me, I don't know how you would find this if you don't know who I am. I'm Gregory Blair. I am your host, and today's guest is Adam Steigert, who is a filmmaker. He's a producer, a writer, and go ahead, Adam. What's your idea?
Oh, I was going to say it, The Talk with Gregory Blair.
Hey, there you go. There's our first concept.
I mean, are you good? Or you could put in The Filmmaker Talk with Gregory Blair.
But I might decide to have artists that are just dancers or painters. Or
how about?
I have no idea.
The Artist with Gregory Blair.
What if I have a politician though?
Oh, jeez!
Although that is the art of the possible.
Oh, it is.
Who knows?
It is.
We'll figure it out. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. So here we go. Onward with Adam Steigert, who I've already introduced. He works with his co-writer, co-producer, co-filmmaker, Kristen Steigert, who is also his wife.
Yes, she is. And she's a good wife at that.
And I think maybe, I hadn't thought of this, but I think I'll segue right into this. What is the best thing about actually being married to your partner?
This is a great question.
I thought so. Stumping him already. Question number one.
When I met Kristen, my wife, on a film set back in the day. She was an actress doing, I mean, she wasn't actually an actress, she was an extra. I mean, she didn't want to be, what I'm saying is she didn't want to be an actress, I would assume at the time, but she thought the experience was unique and she came out and did it. And I met her there and I said, you know, she was somebody I was interested in, and I said, hey, at some point maybe we'll meet up again. Of course, that's the PG version of that. But fast forward down the line, she ended up becoming my wife, and I think she understands what filmmaking means to me, and she accepts it.
That's great. It's good to have. It's very important for artists to have a support system, whether or not that comes from a family member or somebody on the outside or somebody on the inside. In this case, it's a little bit of both.
You know what's so great too is we can bounce ideas off each other. So we'll be in bed, sleeping, cuddling, and I'll be like, hey, you know, what do you think about...
And you hear, shut up and go to bed, Adam.
Adam, I like this idea, but if you wake me up again at 4 in the morning, you're dead to me. But yeah, she's good.
All right, so let's backtrack to the beginning.
Yes.
What inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Well, when I was younger, I was raised in an abusive household, and eventually ended up moving with my grandparents.
Okay.
My grandparents always told me, not my grandparents, I don't say my grandparents, my grandmother would always tell me, hey, there's no money in filmmaking. And to an extent, for many years, she was probably right. But I always wanted to be an actor.
Okay.
And I could never find anybody that was willing to direct me.
So no one would hire you?
No one would, and I was young. It was 2003.
Okay.
So I was in high school still, and I found this passion. I've always, throughout my life, liked to tell stories. And I couldn't find anybody to direct me, so I ended up starting to direct myself in these films with my friends.
Okay.
And ultimately, I found that I was better behind the camera than in front of the camera.
All right.
And, you know, it ended up growing into a fixation to want to create art, and that's kind of where my directing style came from, was, hey, you know what, I want to create this. Okay, I'm not the best actor, that's okay, we'll find the best actor.
All right.
And that's where we went. So I was able to tell a story while dealing with things in my life that may not have been the best situations.
Sure.
And film and storytelling was allowing me to do that.
Right.
So I was appreciative of it, that just the whole general idea of it. It's unique because, excuse me, people they suffer through things.
Mhm.
We've talked about it before. A lot of artists suffer through things.
Right.
Anxiety, depression. I suffer from both of those things.
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever met an artist that has not had some quirk about them, right?
I don't know what you mean.
Something is not off by no means, because we're all individuals, we're all unique because we're all artists, but at some point there's something in us that is not the stereotypical norm.
I think there's a sensitivity to a call to reach out and communicate and express on some level.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, very much so. But that ended up being the situation, and as I grew up, and this is something I've never told anybody, but I'll tell you. And now I'm telling
all of
them.
us. Exclusively on Gregory Talks. What the hell did you call this show?
I called it the artist. Wait, can I say the artist?
I don't know. On this show,
insert here,
today,
right here, Gregory, right there. Insert it right there. On this show, on 3, 2, 1. On this show. But ultimately, when I was growing up, because I was raised in an abusive household, and I ended up moving with my grandparents.
Right.
I actually went to counseling for a very short period of time.
Oh, okay.
I think anybody that goes through the type of abuse that I did would have to go through.
Lucky enough.
Yeah,
Yes.
through counseling, and in a lot of ways it saved me. But during that time, the counselor that I was with would film the segments, and he would allow me to tell stories.
Okay.
And we would use puppets.
Nice.
And what would happen is I would tell these little stories. Eventually, I stopped going to counseling because he thought I was only there to put on a show. But I mean,
imagine that.
But I didn't realize how much until just sitting here talking about it, how much that actually affected me and helped me become who I am today. So throughout my years, I wanted to be an actor, but then I found the calling wasn't there, as I mentioned, and found myself
you're not
directing.
a puppet, you're the puppeteer.
Oh, puppeteer. Okay. This guy, he knows. As an indie guy, I feel it's very important that you have to find ways to showcase what sets you apart.
Sure.
And locations is what sets my type of storytelling apart. Okay, so I like grand, epic-looking style locations, and sometimes we're shooting on city streets that we've closed down. Sometimes we're shooting in a 30-foot cavern.
Well, yes, and I think that's part of having a production value on the screen, which is something that makes such a difference in a film. People notice that, and so it's very important for indie filmmakers, I think, to attempt to try to add that kind of value, and I think you do that through your locations.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think that's such an important part, because any other way you look at it is I'm just the other guy, just another guy. You know what I mean?
Just another filmmaker.
Just another filmmaker
from Buffalo.
So what makes me unique, and that's something that makes me unique. I would also say that I like to pretend. I like to call myself a magician, and I mean a magician in the sense of, as a horror director, I like to pull off an effect. If you can pull off an effect where the audience isn't saying something along the lines of, oh, you know what, I can see the hand or the arm, or I can see the gag here or there, then you know you've been able to create an illusion or a magic trick, so to speak, that will keep the audience there in the seats, that are like, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is the kind of thing. So I like to pretend I'm a magician. That's the mindset.
You like to call yourself a magician.
I like to call myself.
Pretend it.
That's true. That's true.
You are a magician.
I like to use that mindset because it makes me think outside the box on how to create an illusion.
And I love that. The idea of filmmakers as magicians, creating illusions to entertain people and make them go, ah.
Yeah.
I like that.